legislation buried for the cost of billion-dollar backroom deals that profit from our loss. What good is tomorrow if born to die in waste? Is trust just an illusion? Is a promise a mistake? And as sure as the sun shines, as sure as the grass grows and the rivers flow, I'll be there beside you, pulsing through your veins. You'll feel my heart, you know. Time has come to recognize deceptions of the past, seek truth and stand together at last. Sure as the sun, sure as the trees, and the rivers flow free, I'll be there, I'll be there, you can count on me. I'll be with you when we stand together at last. As sure as the sun shines, as sure as
Thank you, Phyllis Sinclair. Welcome, everybody, to UCY.TV for What Matters Worldwide. I'm your host, Vince Easley. Welcome, everybody, in chat. And I have Roger on the line with me. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Liberty Beacon Project. And afterwards, we're going to be discussing GMOs. Called You Are What You Eat. And let's see here. How are you, Roger?
Oh, I'm doing just fine, and you would have to pick a topic that just absolutely boils my blood, wouldn't you? Not the Liberty Beacon, GMOs.
Yes, right? All right. So, yeah, I really love what you're doing over there, and look forward to becoming part of that. So, I want you to tell our listeners a little bit about the project.
Well, the Liberty Beacon Project is just that. It's a project, and it is not a national project. It is a global project. And the reason why is the United States does not and has never had a patent on either liberty or tyranny. Excuse me. A lot of what we face today in this country is being perpetrated across the globe by the same people that are perpetrating it in this country. There are a group of people that have been termed the elite. I don't believe they are the elite, but they believe themselves to be the elite, who recognize no boundaries, no nations, and it is not just America that they wish to subjugate. It is indeed the entire global population. So, but that being said, Vincent, what I would also like to say to qualify that is that we do realize that there is a lot that needs to be done within this country, and we focus a lot on what needs to be done in this country because it's very, very hard for you to give advice to anybody on cleaning their house up if your house is dirty. So we do realize that we have a lot of issues that must be faced in this country, and we have a very large focus on that. The Liberty Beacon Project is a very large project. It started about 18 months ago, and for about the first 12 months, we concentrated on setting up a basic structure. We had one website, the Liberty Beacon, which is our flagship site, and we had one podcast show. That was all the way up through the first 12 months while we put together a plan. Today, we have at least a dozen websites with at least a dozen more in the pipeline already under construction. That's going to double within the next 60 days to at least, we're looking at close to 50 sites. We're talking about anywhere from 9 to 12 podcast shows, depending on some of the negotiations we're going through at this point, and radio shows. And these are all partners, either networks or individual podcast shows themselves. We have great patriots such as yourself, Vincent, who are becoming partners of the Liberty Beacon Project. And this is because we realize that, and this is the network, one voice may speak, but many unified voices can roar. Damn it, it's time for we the people to roar. So it's not what the Liberty Beacon can do, it is what we the people can do. And if we do not realize that there's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of liberty-minded organizations, whether they push back against GMOs, they push back against chemtrails, political tyranny, perpetual warfare, scattered all across this globe. And if they each speak with just their own voice, they will never be listened to. But if we can accumulate what I term a critical mass, we can no longer be ignored, and we must be paid attention to. So voices like yours, partnering up with the Liberty Beacon Project, are extremely valued because the project is just that. It is a project of bringing voices together. And you have a good voice, my friend, and we're very, very proud to have you as a partner to the Liberty Beacon Project, and we'll hear a lot more about that going forward. We do have some projects, you and I, in the plans that we're going to go forward with. But the Liberty Beacon Project is, at this point, well, let me give you a for instance. We have a website in Australia. We have a website in Canada. We have a website in the United Kingdom. We have a website in South Africa. We have agreements to set up, and we are constructing websites for Germany, the Netherlands. We're going to be putting up a website for the indigenous peoples of the planet. We are going to be putting up a website in Scotland, in Ireland. So as you can see, and that's the tip of the iceberg. And then eventually we will form a global Congress of unified voices to start pushing back for the first with a voice that is large enough that it cannot be ignored. This is nothing the Liberty Beacon Project is doing by itself. It is each and every member country, each and every individual group, every podcast show such as yours, every contributor that writes articles for any one of the Liberty Beacon Project websites. It is through the contribution of all of us stepping in the same direction that we will make change. I will not take credit from any group out there that is speaking out against tyranny, whether it's health tyranny, political tyranny, anti-war tyranny. You are all valuable. But your voice alone, it's like standing in the middle of a forest and screaming. Will anybody ever know you screamed? No matter how loud you can scream. But if you put 1 million people in that forest and they all scream, you'll be knocking trees over, my friends. So this is our motivation. This is our mechanism. We are growing right now. We are doubling in size every 60 days. And we see no end to that through the year 2014. We plan on, January 1st, 2015, easily being the largest independent new news, because I hate the word alternative. We're not an alternative. We are the new news, the real news network in existence on this planet. And at the rate we are growing, this is not a pipe dream, my friends. This is a fact. So how's that sound, Vincent?
Sounds awesome. And we do have the lines forwarded now, too, by the way. So thank you, Jimmy and Jules. Thanks everybody for all the hard work here at UCY.TV. We've got a lot of great hosts on. And we got a pretty big show lined up for tonight. A lot of callers. And we're going to be talking, like I said, about some GMOs. And won't you and I talk about some about that here as we kind of segue in, Roger? It's a very, very touchy subject, I think, with some, and or at least with others. They really don't know, don't care. And I'm expecting a surprise caller tonight, a little later on, just to mix it up a little bit. About 7:40, I'll be getting a call in from the offshore rig out in the Gulf of Mexico. But a lot of people here are not going to be happy with what he has to say. But I believe in equal opportunity and free voice. He obviously, what I'm saying, doesn't think it's a big deal. GMOs aren't, but all the evidence I find, I think it is a very big deal.
Well, you couldn't have picked a better subject for me to rant about. I do a show called the Liberty Beacon Rant every Saturday. And I'm in the middle of a 26 show series. Actually, not in the middle, I'm close to the end. And the name of the series is called The 4 Weapons of Mass Destruction Humanity May Not Survive. And when I speak about humanity, I speak about you and me and every other person on this planet who does not consider themselves to be an elite. And again, I really hate that word, but it's what so many people use. Those 4 weapons of mass destruction are perpetual warfare, GMOs, vaccines, and chemtrails, or geoengineering. They're all real. I have done extensive research, but one of the areas that I have done the most research on is genetically modified organisms. They are, in fact, a scourge on this planet. There are over 1,100, Google this, my friends, 1,100 scientists and researchers, professional researchers, who make a living studying this stuff, who have signed 2 separate petitions or complaints between 2009 and 2011 stating, and these people do this for a living, okay, stating that we either back away from the GMO experiment or we are going to bring humanity to its knees and collapse the biosphere. There are experts out there who will tell you, and these are peer-reviewed studies, my friend, I do not blow it out my butt ever. If I tell you something, I dare you to prove me wrong. I'm that sure.
If you say a mouse can pull a house, then hook it up.
But the point here is, these people have signed petitions, and this is their life study. This is what they do for a living. This is their profession, stating that we have pushed the biosphere to the point of collapse if we haven't already passed that point. Now, it's not going to collapse tomorrow. It might take 2, 3, 4 generations for it to collapse. But once you reach that tipping point, there's nothing we're going to do to stop it from collapsing. Now, let me explain something to you. The biosphere supports all life on this planet. When it goes, we go. There's no question. There's no doubt. We go with it. And these people are staking their professional reputations on this. Google that. 827 scientists on one petition. I think it's 300 plus on another complaint. And now I know this. Due to the exhaustive research, I've written at least a dozen articles. Go to the Liberty Beacon website, thelibertybeacon.com, put in my name, Roger Landry, GMOs, hit enter, and look at all the articles I've written and done extensive research. I'm going to explain something to you. All right? There are mechanisms at work here well beyond tyranny. If I know, all of these scientists know, you know, how the hell could anybody convince you or me that our government does not know? Now, the motto of the CDC, which perpetrates a lot of this crap, okay, and the FDA and the USDA, basically their motto is protecting your life and your health 24/7. So I know this is killing you and I. I know for a fact through peer-reviewed studies it's sterilizing us. There is a gene that was patented through seed money by the government. The government paid to have this done. Google it, my friends, what I'm about to tell you. This is a fact. The government paid for a company called Epicite to develop a gene that could be inserted into food, and it was inserted into corn, and who God knows what else it's been inserted into since, that has only one purpose. Remember, paid for by the government. The biotech company Epicite produced a gene in this corn that sole purpose is to sterilize men. Sterilize us. You eat the corn, you become sterile. If you think I'm kidding, now, Let's go to the fact that it is illegal for you to pursue whether the corn you are eating contains that gene or not. We don't have labeling laws. We can't tell what's in our food. You go to the store tomorrow, it has cornmeal in it, or you buy cornflakes, or you buy whatever, you take it home, you feed it to your children. Will your sons ever grow up to have children? That's a big question mark, my friends. It's a huge question mark. Anybody doubt me? Do the research.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I did drop a link in there for some, it's an organization of concerned scientists, and the video I just dropped in there is on, it's a science of genetically modified crops. I don't believe this is the one that was, doing anything other than showing how the process is done. And, we're talking about, gene splicing, going into the chromosomes and all that. And the best way to carry that is with a virus or a bacteria. We got E. coli and salmonella and all types of other things that I'm not sure the rest of them, but I know those two for certain, I think, are methods. So that they go in there and they pull something out of an animal even, let's say, for instance, the flounder. They've used that in the tomato where it will withstand freezing temperatures. The first genetically modified animal is the Atlantic salmon, and that they're using this little bottom-dwelling creature, eel-like looking thing, and so they take some genes out of it and put it over there where the salmon grows larger. So I'm not sure what that thing is. I have it somewhere, but it's got a name. It looks like a flat eel, the big head.
Vincent, let's take this one step further, okay? The government only requires a 90-day study from companies like Monsanto or DuPont or all of these other biotech companies to prove their technologies prior to giving them of approval and putting it on your dinner table. 90 days. Okay? You can't find out anything in 90 days. But we've got 2-year studies going on in France that have proven in rats that by the 3rd generation, they're all sterile. By the 2nd generation, a bunch of them are sterile. And they develop massive tumors within the 1st generation, especially to the 2nd generation, the size of golf balls on rats no bigger than your fist. So now we know these are causing issues, but let's take it one step further. We have corn and we have other products that are genetically modified so that they resist pests. If a pest bites into them, the pest dies. The BT corn, for instance, if a bug walks up, a specific type of bug that attacks corn and destroys the crop, bites into the corn, it splits the lining of their stomach open and they die. Let's examine that for a second, all right? A ear of corn is so destructive to a form of life that it will literally split its stomach open, and this toxin is contained in every single cell in every grain of that corn. But it's not going to do anything to you, right? You're fine. You can eat this stuff your whole life and it'll never do anything to you because they tested it for 90 days and it didn't do anything. I have never heard so much crap in my life, but yet we have a government who is not only not protecting us from this, when thousands of experts and scientists are screaming at the top of their lungs that we're killing humanity in the biosphere, the government's not only pulling back, they're sponsoring it.
Yeah,
they're making sure we don't get our food labeled.
Yeah, the FDA and all that, they're definitely not friends of anybody but the corporations and the people producing that.
It's called complicity.
Yeah, and the difference between the BT, the Bacillus, I can't. I'm not even going to try to say it. Thuringiensis.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's close enough. But
BT.
Yes, BT. Now that does occur naturally. There's it attacks bugs. There's some sick bugs, and organically people collect these bugs, grind them up in a blender, and spray them to the outside of the crop. Which is not the same as when they're introducing it and splicing it into the gene. it's night and day about the BT.
Yes.
It's not even the same, not even close. So it is a big difference. And there has been documented cases, studies where people are exposed to this, like in the Philippines, for instance. And it's disrupting the insides, the kidneys, all kinds of stuff. We do have a couple of callers, and I do have a lot of callers lined up, and we have some announcements for some action committees, some petition sites, and group sites. And so let me stay with me if you can, Roger, and let me pull the first caller. Who do we have? The first caller, not the last one just called. I don't remember which one. I think it's the 210 area code. Hello, caller. Welcome.
Oh, okay. Hi, Vince. That would be me.
And who's
This is Barbara.
Hey, Barbara. How you doing? And Monica.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, and I think we have Monica on the other line as well.
Yes. Hi.
Hi,
It's Monica.
Yeah.
How are y'all?
Hey, super. Hey, Barbara. Why don't you give us a shout out and tell us what's up real quick, and we'll jump to Monica, and I'll get you all the hold, and we'll come back to you.
Sure. Perfect. I'm calling in from San Antonio, Texas, and I am actually with a group called March Against Monsanto.
Yay.
Right now, we're a very grassroots movement. We don't have a website. We do use a lot of Facebook, so if anyone wants to look us up, if you're in the area, it's March Against Monsanto, San Antonio, Texas. We have a couple of events coming up. The main event we have coming is in May. Of course, everybody knows that's a Global Day of Action. May 24th, we will be marching from 1 to 4. So if you go to our page on Facebook, you can find all the information. You can join the event. We have an event page. But I also wanted to call in to mention that, like Monica, we're trying to start collaborating with more cities in Texas to be more organized so that we can really, make ourselves seen. We have something coming up in San Antonio that's very special. The NOSB meeting is coming up, which is a National Organic Standards Board meeting. The reason this is kind of exciting for us because they have a public comment time where people can sign up and come and speak to the NOSB. They actually give recommendations to the NOP, the National Organic Program, and that's how they write policy for how they process organics, everything from how they raise crops, livestock. So we have a couple of things going on. Like I said, if you go check out our page, again, it's March Against Monsanto San Antonio. We've got links on how you can become proactive. Like I said, as a grassroots movement, we need as many people as possible to come out and help us do some demonstrations, speak in front of the NOSB. And, well, those are the two things that I wanted to talk about. Monica? Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Go ahead,
Anything
Monica. I did drop the link into chat for the March Against Monsanto, San Antonio, Texas. And anybody down around there, definitely get involved. And there's Monsanto, it has the face, that we march against, but there's a lot more corporations, probably even bigger ones than Monsanto, that's behind the scenes. So, but it does give us an avenue and a venue to event and to bring it to the public. Myself, on the way over here, I jumped across down here a little while ago, earlier today, and came across on the bus, and I had a captive audience, so I guess I did have a bit of a pre-broadcast. And I'm very surprised at how many people actually are aware. And many even, if you don't know about a zombie apocalypse, then you may be part of it. But, you just see these listless faces, lifeless and pushing around on a stroller and just obviously unhealthy and look to be drugged, and which is another issue. But we're definitely under attack. Our environment, ourselves. We do need to be proactive and look at what it is that we are eating, and we have to verify for ourselves. We have to take responsibility for ourselves. And hey, the government protects the corporations, and so I think it's fair that we say, hey, look, you guys need to be forward and up front about what you guys got, what it is you're trying to sell. There's truth in advertising and everything else. There's laws that really should already be covering it. So anyways, hey, come on, Monica, tell us about what you got.
Absolutely, I agree. Hi, my name is Monica Mota, and I am the organizer for Austin. I'm the Austin organizer. We are also here, grassroots movement. This is going to be the third march that I have helped put together, which is going to be March 24th here in Austin at the Capitol. We're going to meet at Brush Square Park at 10 o'clock, and then we'll be marching towards Congress to the Capitol. We also have a Facebook page, which is March Against Monsanto Austin, and we like to share all kinds of important information from non-GMO seeds to glyphosate that is being found now in the water supply, which I think is something that more people should talk about, because the glyphosate is connected with a lot of autoimmune diseases and a lot of different kind of illnesses. And so, and now it's also being tested, it's being found in the urine samples of our children. And I don't know if anybody has heard of that yet, but there are people that if you test your child, it'll come out. It's coming out in our kids' urine. So it's not just about the food, it's also getting into the water supply in the soil. So, I mean, it's a pretty big, I think it's all connected, not just with the food, but the environment, the whole world.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, I agree with Monica.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, I agree with Monica. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, go ahead, jump in.
Well, I just want to agree, because what I think has been just brought out is, so I started out by saying that over 1,100 scientists and experts worldwide had signed either petitions or complaints stating we need to back away. What we are finding is that Roundup, humanity first off never was and never will be Roundup ready. But Roundup is one of the most evil biotoxins ever developed by anybody on this planet. It does cause sterility. It is causing kidney failure across the globe. It is causing cancer. It is causing, and it has been found not only in urine samples and water samples, but also soil and air samples. Almost every sample that has been taken across the country. So when I said that the biosphere is either near or at the point where of no return, where we will collapse this biosphere, and when that goes, humanity goes, I wasn't kidding. And the information you two ladies have just brought up is sterling, and I applaud you. And if you can get any word through Vincent about any of these things that you've got scheduled, the Liberty Beacon will make sure we put it out work, and we literally have dozens of websites and radio shows that can carry your message. I am a huge opponent of GMOs. I have written dozens of articles on this evil, and I will do anything I can to help you ladies out.
Thank you. Great. We appreciate that so much, Roger.
Yeah,
we're really trying hard in the local scene, trying to get the word out. It's amazing how many people are not aware of this, especially like you said, it's so, it's global. It's affecting us in a scale that we can't even imagine. And you're absolutely right. And we really need to bring that awareness out there. And like I said, the only way we can do it is just to keep sharing, keep talking, keep pulling people in, make ourselves exactly educating. Sometimes it could be as simple for people listening. Start doing your own research. It doesn't have to be anything, super scientific, but just start. And when you start showing this to your family, there's so many documentaries out there right now that are for beginners. That's how I started. I started watching, right now a great one is Genetic Roulette. There's so many out there that you can get online and maybe have a viewing in your home, show your family, show your friends. Find people who are already health conscious, who are already active as going into the gym, eating organic. They might be that way and still not know what a GMO is. And so, anywhere, if you're in the grocery store in line, just the other day, I mentioned it to a cashier, and he hadn't heard of GMOs, but he was very health conscious. And you just pull in people little by little. You post all the information online. Like I said, we really are we're working on getting a website up. But it's just, it's small steps, but it needs to be more. And that's only going to happen when more people get involved.
Roger can help you out with that one right there. You guys get in contact with me, and we will.
Thank you, Roger. That's great.
Well, no, the information you guys are putting out is putting a big smile on my face. We talk about, if you go to Europe, we have so many countries over there that are so proud because they kicked GMO out of their country. But yet they did a urinalysis across Europe, and 60 to 70% of every urine sample they got from all across Europe had glyphosate in their urine. Glyphosate is much more evil than the actual GMO plant itself. It is a genetically modified biotoxin. So whereas these countries are so proud because they got rid of the GMO foods, they're still using the GMO biotoxins, and they haven't won a battle at all.
The main ingredient,
You're right.
and that's the main ingredient,
Exactly.
glyphosate.
Yeah, we have to remember that these companies started as chemical companies before they even started patents on seeds. So, I mean, these seeds are just a way to pull people in, get them to buy the chemicals, and just spray us, to death. I mean, it's ridiculous. But you're right. It all started as a chemical company, and they're selling their chemicals, and that's what it's all about to them.
You're absolutely right. And what we get, the person who says, I'm going to grow a natural garden. And these are people who are not that, and again, you ladies made a perfect point, people who are not that educated on GMOs. But I'm going to grow my own food so that I know it's good food. And they use heirloom seeds, and they really baby this garden, and every time the weeds start to grow, they go into the garage and they pull out the bottle of Roundup and they spray the weeds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
You're absolutely right.
wait a minute. You've just thrown everything you did right out the door. But let me give you one more piece of evil, and then I'll back off a little bit, okay? Because you ladies have a great word to put out. We talk about a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, when these scientists and these experts signed these petitions and these complaints stating this stuff was making us sterile, it's killing us, it's ruining the biosphere. At that point, we had a particular level that PA and the USDA allowed called residual, and it was 20 parts per million. That was allowed to be in the food you actually consumed. That 20 parts per million in the food you were allowed to consume, we were already told was making us sterile, was killing us, was destroying the biosphere. Not too long ago, in June or July of this year, unbeknownst to the population, without any fanfare, the government doubled the amount of glyphosate residual allowed on your dinner table.
Absolutely.
So, I was outraged. Yes. I was outraged when I heard that.
If it was killing us at the original level and making us sterile and trashing the biosphere and giving us kidney cancers, what the hell do you think is happening now?
Mhm. But let me tell you something. The reason why they had to raise the levels is not because they wanted to. They had to. From what I was hearing is that the levels were so high that they couldn't lower them. So because there was a lot of people and we were able to comment. I don't know if y'all were able to if y'all heard or if y'all saw that, but you were able to go and comment about that. Because they did want the public's opinion, and I did, and I went and I commented. And I said, I do not, there is no reason that the levels should be raised if they're already causing issues at this level that they're at. There's no reason. There's no reason.
Right. There's no way they can manipulate that data. So the only thing left to do is to raise the allowable limits. You're absolutely right. How do you fix the problem? You just don't, you erase the problem. The levels are higher and there's no problem according to them.
Do you know why the levels were raised in the first place? And I'm going to give you another quick tidbit here. Again, I have done massive amount of research on this. One of the main reasons the levels were raised when they originally put this stuff out, they said these chemicals and the BT genetic manipulation of these crops were going to make it so that we don't have to use as many chemicals to kill the weeds or to protect these foods.
Right.
But what we found out was that when they sprayed the fields year after year, the weeds became as adapted to the chemicals, the glyphosate, as the BT corn did. So they ended up by having to use more and more. Right now they're using 300% more biotoxins on the food than when they originally started with the Roundup. So what do you do? You have no choice but to raise the level.
You have to raise the level. Yep.
You have
to raise the level. Mm-hmm.
We see that all the time.
Right. And you're right. That there's problems with super weeds, and and they keep spraying more, but they don't understand Mother Nature's going to find a way around it. It's never going to be enough.
Hey,
super bugs. Too.
We've got two more callers. 318 area code. You've been very patient. Hello. Who's this? 318.
What is he doing with this? Get so funny here.
Uh-oh.
Get in here.
Okay. 318, mute up. And we've got another caller from the 202. No, that's the 202 that I'm hearing, I think, in the background. Okay, 318, are you on the line? How about 202? Okay. There you go. Just want to listen? If you're just wanting to listen, go ahead and mute up your phone on your end, would you please? Okay, I'll hand it back to you guys there.
I apologize, Vincent, but you brought me into a hornet's nest, and this is something that I have done at least 36 radio shows on this topic, and it burns me. And to hear ladies, both of you ladies, talking about actually getting out, boots on the ground, and doing something puts a big smile on my face. And please get a hold of Vincent. Let him know when these things are set up, when you plan on doing them. I promise you, I will personally write an article. I am the founder of the Liberty Beacon Project, and put it out on every website in this project globally, because this is not a USA problem. This is a global issue.
Global, absolutely. But absolutely. We have to start these movements local, yep.
We do have to start locally. If we don't start in our own towns, nothing will ever happen. You know what? And it's just like the pursuit of liberty. You have to start in your neighborhood, and it spreads from there.
Yeah, I appreciate that so much, Roger. I mean, anything you can do to help this out, to get other cities aware and involved, and get them, sometimes people want to start doing something and they feel like they're the only one and nobody listens. But I mean, once you have one person leading and a second person follows, you've got a movement, and that's what we need to see in every city.
Agreed.
Yeah. Hey, here's 5 reasons why GMOs are a recipe for global famine, and this comes from Life is Rawsome WordPress. So, number 1 is patented seeds. Farmers growing GMOs are denied their traditional right to save their seeds next year. If biotech fails, suddenly they will be unable to replant. Number 2 is soil infertility. GMO agriculture is chemically intensive. Agrochemical buildup is causing sterility of the soil. Here's the chemical y'all was talking about. Glyphosate herbicide is especially problematic. Monocropping, loss of biodiversity. GMO agriculture is monocropping. 75% of seed diversity has already been lost to industrial farming. The Irish potato famine was a result of monocropping. Biodiversity is food security. Number 4, Terminator seed technology. This is designed to genetically switch off a plant's ability to germinate a second time. Plants with Terminator genes can cross-pollinate with natural varieties, causing otherwise fertile seeds to be sterile. And number 5 is dependency on a centralized food system. A network of home garden, small to mid-sized farms offers far greater food security than a centralized global system. The bigger they come, the harder they fall. Think global, eat local. GMO agriculture is the opposite of sustainable.
You brought something up just now, Vincent. You just brought something up right now that speaks so much to what we've all been speaking to. You brought up the Terminator seed issue and the fact that they can cross-pollinate, shutting off the genes in a non-GMO plant so that it can no longer reproduce. What we're talking about is the destruction of the biosphere. The next big thing in GMOs is, guess what? Trees. GMO trees that are easier to turn into paper, so on and so forth, with the same mechanisms built into them. Once we start the dominoes falling in this biosphere, we will eventually end up with a sterile planet that will no longer support humanity. We are so close, there are people who think we've already crossed that boundary.
I agree with you, Roger. It's a scary thought.
For sure. And we see that with the tree plantations for trees now, and the pines, the longleaf pine is one of the bigger ones, loblollies. They take longer to grow. So, we've been seeing this for a long time, of course, but, when you do have a monoculture, you're set up for,
failure.
Yeah. I mean, once it starts cascading, you've lost it.
Daniel, can you wash your hands again?
Who's that at the 202 area code?
It used to be that farmers kept their soils fertile by rotating crops, because certain crops take things out. And once you hit this monoculture where you're growing the same crop over and over again and beating that ground to death with the same biotoxins every year, soil sterility is a huge issue we don't hear enough about.
Yeah.
And that leads to nutrient deficient crops. You're growing crops in soil that is dead, that it's not, that crop does not have the nutrients that it should have, and we're eating that stuff. And so, you brought something up. It's these nutrient deficient crops that are leading to foods that are being processed and made, because of course soy, corn, those are our GMOs, right? And all these processed foods are nutrient deficient, and we're eating up and getting full on all this. So our bodies are being compromised. Our immune systems are being compromised from eating this stuff. So if you take a step back away from the environmental aspect of it, and you look at our health, as humans, there's a rise in food allergies, there's a rise in asthma, cancer, obesity. There's so many, and you wonder why. You've got to think of, like you said, the soil is depleted from its nutrients. So how do we expect to grow crops that are nutritious, that are sustaining our bodies? And that brings it to home. When you have a child with asthma, when you have a child with anything, you can even say they're starting to link ADHD and autism. That's a whole nother, that's a very controversial issue. But what's happening with our bodies, it's all linked together with this whole GMO and glyphosate and everything. It's just, like you said, once the domino falls, we all start to come, exactly.
Yes,
well, when you talk about how it's affecting the human body, I'm a very analytical person. That's what I've done my entire life. I'm a project manager who solves all issues in an analytical fashion. If you take a look at the rise of GMOs, and you take a look at the fact that 3 generations ago, when I was be 60 in August, we lived in the healthiest and most vibrant society on this planet. And today the United States is the sickest. Google it, I don't lie. The sickest society on this planet. Well, what has changed in the last 3 generations? Vaccines, aerial spraying, and massive exposure to GMOs.
GMOs.
If you could tell me that there is no connection.
The food now is nothing like what it was.
90%, 85 to 90% of everything you're going to grab off the shelf and bring home for your kids to eat tomorrow, unless you know exactly what you're looking for, is either going to make them sick or sterile.
Okay, so, caller from the 202. I'm adding you back again. You're going to have to hit your mute button. You're going to have to hit your mute button. We've got way too much background coming from your end. Sorry, man.
And I wanted to bring up one point.
Let me go ahead and take this 202. Go ahead, caller.
Did you wash your hands again?
All right. Sorry about that. I don't know what the deal is with that caller, but I'm sorry. We're not going to be able to keep you on air. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I did want to bring up something that I thought was important, is that if it's not the corn, if it's not organic, it's registered with the EPA as a pesticide.
Yes.
So,
yes.
so it's like you're eating a pesticide. And I don't see how they can pass that as food. If it's registered as a pesticide, how can you call it food? And then give it to our children, and it's in the, you know, the school lunches, and it's in everything, you know. And to me, I mean, a pesticide is not a food. Pesticide is not something you should put in your mouth. So how they can register corn that you eat as a pesticide and regulate it to say it's okay to eat, I don't understand that.
Well,
I don't see how they could do that. I mean, I don't see how that's legal.
Well, I've got to tell you something. Legalities don't seem to stop these people at all. What we've got is one branch of the government saying that something is perfectly safe, and another branch of the government saying that it's poison. And this is quite obvious, even to the most casual of observers. I hate like hell to bring this up again, but I will, just to prove that our own government can't even decide what's right between the departments within the government. We have one department of the government saying that giving a pregnant mother a flu shot is perfectly healthy. We have and that's the CDC, while we have the EPA saying that the amount of mercury contained in a flu shot is 2,500 times what's considered a toxic level for that fetus. So this is the same government, but yet two branches are saying the opposite thing. So where does legal come in? It might be legal in the eyes of the FDA, but illegal in the eyes of the CDC or the EPA. So when our own government hasn't got a clue, how the hell are they protecting you and me? They're not.
It's too compartmentalized. Our government has got too many branches. It's too compartmentalized. You got the USDA and the FDA that they're supposed to protect us, yet they rely, like you mentioned before, Roger, they rely on the biotech business to pretty much self-police themselves. So how is that protecting us, the consumer?
They're not only not protecting us, but over and over again we hear 5-6 years down the road about documents that were hidden from us, proving that what we've been eating for the last 5 or 6 years was known to cause harm to us.
And you know, like mentioned the CDC that you said, there's been things that have come out documentation wise again, like you said, with the vaccines, that they were hiding documentation of links to, you know, what is it, the Thimerosal, I'm sorry, what's that ingredient?
Thimerosal, yes.
Thimerosal, there you go, the documents came out, you know, that they were hiding that from us, so it's just like, you can't trust any of these departments.
No, you can't. And I published an article about that 2 days ago, showing that in 2003 and in 2001, that these departments held interdepartmental meetings, putting out the information that this stuff was in fact leading to massive increases in autism. But yet, we never heard about that. You never heard about it. I never heard about it.
That's exactly what I was talking about. I did.
Yes, no, you're right. And I don't want to get off the GMO issue, because the GMO issue is the biggest issue we face, simply because we all eat several times a day. We all eat. It is the paramount issue facing all of us when it comes to health today. And we need to have people like both of you fine ladies and people like Vincent who did this show today. We need to have all of us speaking off singing off the same sheet of music.
And I think education is key.
Yes, it is. And like I said, I come from a group, March Against Monsanto. I mean, there are so many. It's not a huge group. We have 100 and something members. Of course, not everyone is as active as others, but I will tell you that all of us, you know, we support each other. We give each other information. We exchange ideas, and we have other organizers from the group that really, you know. But I wanted to get back to the glyphosate issue again about health and how, you know, there's this issue now coming up with the leaky gut and how glyphosate, they say, you know, the biotech says, oh, you know, glyphosate, of course it can't harm you. It's meant, you know, to, you know, kill a herbicide. It's the way the plants, you know, it doesn't affect us. We don't have the same cell structure as plants. But I wanted to bring up the fact that we do have plant like cells in our gut and in our gut flora, and it's filling our
Yes.
gut flora, and that's what's leading to all our immune problems, our immune system problems. So I just wanted to connect those two issues because I thought that was really important.
It's called the shikimate, okay? And
Exactly, shikimate, there you go.
And we were told for years that this herbicide couldn't affect us because we do not have a shikimate system involved in human beings, in mammals. But guess what was found out, and a peer-reviewed study has been published on? Yes, in fact, we do. And do you know what one of the quickest ways is to alleviate a lot of the symptoms in an autistic child is? Take them off GMOs and watch their symptoms disappear. Because when you alleviate the massive attack on the shikimate system or the lining of the gut that is so intensely responsible for our immune system, what you do is you alleviate a lot of the symptoms that these poor autistic children have. How much more proof do we need, people? My God, you ladies are just a virtual cornucopia of information.
Fantastic. 202 caller, if you're listening, or if you was trying to listen by phone, I'm sorry, I had to keep disconnecting you. We a lot of background noise back there. So, anyways, I do apologize for that, but it was kind of disruptive.
Yeah, it's okay. I have children. I'm a mom. I'm a teacher. I know how it can be. In fact, I had to, lock myself in my room and tell my husband, please don't listen. So it's completely understandable.
I mean, you're welcome to call in and listen, but if you could just please hit your mute on your phone, or just cup it. The old mute button. Put your hand over the phone.
Well, Vincent, I'm going to have to jump off here real quick because I do have another show I need to go on to. But I want to thank you and both of the callers that you had call in today. Obviously, you can tell from my passion here, this is a subject that means a lot to me. Go to thelibertybeacon.com, punch in GMOs in the search bar. What you will find is literally hundreds of articles we have published. Hundreds. I'm not exaggerating. A lot of good information. Many of them I have researched and written myself. And please, ladies, if you would like any word gotten out about either one of your organizations, get some information to Vincent. He is a part of the Liberty Beacon Project. He will get it to me, and we will publish an article across the network. I really, really thank you for the information you put out, and you've made this call very, very interesting for me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
thank
you,
you
Roger.
for having us.
Thank you for having us, Vincent.
Oh, you guys stand by. We've got another 8 minutes before Jose comes up, and I've not heard from him yet, so we may just keep rambling. We can continue talking. We do have a caller coming in. Thanks again, Roger, and I will be we'll be talking some more.
Oh, we definitely will. All right, goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Stay on the line, girls. And we have the 832 area code. Welcome, caller. 832 area code. Uh-oh.
Hello?
Hello. Okay. I guess we're still on live. Where did we drop off there? Yeah. 832 area code. Hello?
Vince, this is Jay.
Well, hello, Jay. I'm glad you called. Y'all get ready for this. We get the other side. Jay feels that there's not much problem with GMO. So I think it's only fair that we give some voice to the other side. So if we can't question ourselves and the information that we have available to ourselves, then, we may better educate ourselves some. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, you guys get ready and send the hate mail to me, Vincent Easley at Yahoo. Vincent Easley at yahoo.com. I'll take the hate mail. Go ahead.
Oh, Vince, it's not a hate issue. We got to work together on this.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jay, welcome, bro.
Well, thank you very much, Vince. Sorry I'm late, but I'm offshore about 100 miles talking to you on a satellite phone.
Awesome. And thank you, Joe.
Hello.
I thought I fell off. Yeah, thanks, Joe. We are on. And I'm going to mute up, and I'm going to let you have the mic for a minute. Jay lives not far from me in Arkansas. I'm out in Vegas now, but we've met in person, and he is accused of being a shill. Hey, I don't know how you can judge another person just because you have a difference of opinion. You know, everybody has a right to opinion. So, Jay, go with yours.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I'm going to go ahead and predict that within the next 20 years, genetically modified crops will be included in organic farming. I think that's going to happen. It's inevitable because it can complement organic farming in many ways, make it better, and I believe that in the end, it will help to provide better food than what we have now, more healthy food, and more of it. That's the bottom line as far as my prediction. The best way I can support it that is that the farmers have adopted it. Whether or not consumers have or not doesn't really matter. The farmers have adopted it, and they find that it's useful to them. It provides them a quality product, and they're leading. They're leading. The consumers will keep up. They'll eventually catch up, and they already have in most parts. Anybody who's fully informed on the subject becomes a different person once they understand the reality of genetic modification, that it's not something that's evil or Frankenstein. It's not. Nobody's trying to take over the world or kill, poison anybody. It's a useful tool, and it's probably going to be beneficial to everybody. Now, I'm not saying that there won't be some mistakes. I'm sure there will be. I don't think you can make very many mistakes so far. Does anybody know of any big mistakes that have been made by genetically modified products?
And by the way, let me say one thing. Let me just say one real quick thing. It's hard to say if there have been any mistakes because they're not labeled. So without the labels, we don't know how much of what we're consuming. So there's no way to do a mass study and say this percentage of the population is eating GMOs and they're perfectly fine. This percentage is eating them. They're actually getting this or that. There's no way. There's nothing that we can base a study on the actual human population. So there's no way we can say if there even is a mistake. How can we address that if we don't know because it's not labeled?
Somebody has a player going on in the background. If they can, hold on just a second. I'm sorry. Somebody has their player, perhaps a speaker going. If you have a room, the radio playing.
No, Vincent. I don't know.
And yeah, I think she brings up a great point. I mean, there have been no human studies done to show that these are safe. So why they were put in our food supply and not tested is not acceptable. As a mother, as
I have
a person that
I have a rebuttal for that.
Go ahead.
My rebuttal would be that if a company wanted to put peanuts on the market at this point, using the same criteria that they used for genetically modified crops, ordinary peanuts would be outlawed because they're extremely allergenic and they can cause death from a single peanut if a person should eat it that's allergic to it.
Okay. And I would like to bring up, since GMOs have been brought into the food supply, there has been a 265% increase in hospitalizations regarding allergic reactions in people. There's large
amounts of allergic reactions to peanuts too, and also wheat gluten is extremely allergenic. They would have to stop growing wheat if they tested wheat at the same criteria that they do for genetically modified foods.
Right, and and there was a study recently that I had read that was on the GMO News that talked about GMOs being connected with the gluten. You know how a lot of people are gluten alert, you know, they have gluten intolerance. There has been a connection now to GMOs and gluten intolerance. And I read that recently, and that was on the in the GMO news. I don't know if y'all have seen that as well.
I hope
so. I think it's all connected.
I think so too.
I doubt if that's connected. Gluten intolerance was known before 20 years ago when genetically modified crops came out. Genetically modified wheat is not sold on the market.
Yeah, there's all sorts of examples of contamination and also just outright, dumping it.
Because, gluten intolerance, that's something kind of new. When I was, when my parents were little, there was hardly anyone gluten intolerant. Nowadays, everyone's gluten intolerant, and there's a lot of issues with as far as having an allergic reaction or being allergic to different kinds of food.
Yeah. Hey, who's
Monica has a point that celiac disease has been around, but you have to. The reason we're hearing about it more now is because celiac disease, gluten intolerance, many of these diseases or these conditions are on the rise. Is what the problem is. It's not that a lot of these were not around before. It's just that they're on a rise within the last 20 years, right when GMOs were introduced into the food production. So
yeah,
you have these people who are, have no family history of having gluten intolerance. They have no family history of diabetes. They have no family history of autism. They have no family history. And why is this happening? I'm not saying that GMOs is the only issue. I'm sure there are other issues at play as well. But it just feeds into the whole concept of the GMOs are lowering our body's immune system. They're killing our gut flora, our bacteria that live inside our gut lining, which is lowering our immune system, making us more susceptible to these diseases that before our body was able to fight.
I think that's all pretty speculative. I think that anyone that eats even organically grown wheat that's gluten intolerant will find that they still have the same symptoms. I've known people.
Well, you say it's speculative because right now we're not allowed to do the kinds of studies that we would like to do on GMOs because companies like Monsanto and Bayer will not. Well, no, they will not let us have their seeds to do these tests. You have to get permission from these companies to use their seeds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no,
I agree.
No. Okay, well, you don't have to have any permission to do that. No, you don't. That's not true.
You know what? We're
legally, if you want it to be published in a journal, you do need to have permission.
Yes, you do. You do have to have permission for
the industry,
and that's why a lot of these there's been no tests because they need Monsanto's permission, and they're not able to get the permission.
Yeah, remember
Monsanto seeds, and they do talk about that in the world according to Monsanto. So, and they talk about that in there as well. So that's a good movie to watch.
There's patent laws. There's patent laws protecting these seeds, and anything patented, you cannot.
Hey, folks, we're up against the hour. I knew we'd never get through everything. There's a lot to talk about here. We're gonna have to come back to it. We got Jose coming.
Yeah.
And he's gonna talk about.
I'm almost embarrassed to cut in.
Monica and Jay, I'm very glad to have you guys on. We're gonna have to.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all coming.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, you guys get in touch with me on Facebook, and I'll get you hooked up with Roger. And hey, Jay, I'm out here in Vegas. We'll have to have lunch on maybe some GMO corn-fed beef hamburgers when I get back to Arkansas.
Sounds good.
That would be non-GMO corn-fed beef.
Right? Hey, thanks again, Barbara and Monica and Jay.
All right.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night. Take care.
Good night.
Bye-bye, Monica.
Okay, good night. Bye. Bye.
You could tell those girls were from San Antonio, man.
San Antonio in Austin, huh?
In Austin, yeah. To me, Austin is just north of San Antonio, northeast San Antonio. The great thing about coming in after such a passionate discussion is that most people hang up, although I see some people still hanging on. I get to have the last word, right? Okay, now I'm the last one.
And before I give you the first of the last words, I'm gonna mute up. I'm gonna turn it over to you and introduce you. This is Jose M. Gonzalez. He does relationship counseling,
What is that tapping? What is that tapping noise?
I don't know. It sounds like wind, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds to me like you've got somebody locked up and they're trying to signal in Morse code. Unfortunately, the internet has kind of done away with Morse code, but it's like
It's my secret message to Radio Free America. We're not supposed to mention that. NSA, disregard last comment. Yeah, it's coming from your end. So, we'll send Homeland Security to Tejas, right?
Right. North Texas.
North Texas. That's Oklahoma, okay?
Yeah.
North Texas is Oklahoma. Hook 'em horns. Oh, hey, wait a minute. Oh, I'm an Arkla, Texahoman anyways. Hey, I'm glad to have you on here. And, we're going to talk about, communication. So, with that, I say, take it away, Jose.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to kind top off the previous topic, see if anybody's still listening. The guy that was in the middle of the ocean with a satellite telephone, he makes the typical argument for GMOs. He's saying, hey, there's no evidence that these things are harmful. But of course, even the most lowly educated layman that has even looked into GMOs can say, wait a minute, what do you mean there's no evidence that GMOs are detrimental to human health? The fact is there has not been enough testing, and if these GMO guys, want to test their product on themselves and then come to us, with a third head growing out of their rib or something and tells that it's safe, well, that's fine. There was some talk about research. Yes, I have attempted to get, published in scientific journals, and you do need permission. You need to at least have a university's approval to even get a title registered for your paper. I think I mentioned that earlier last year about how I did a research paper with a certain title, and then I did my research and found out that my title was wrong. So I wanted to change it. They said, no, you have to, this is the title that you're registered under. You have to keep it under this, it's very strict. He was right. Mr. Satellite Phone was right. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but he was right. You can do any testing you want, but to get it published in a peer-reviewed scientific journal, you have to have connections. And then I recently posted on Facebook how peer-reviewed is even all about crap, because these peers that are reviewing stuff are just doing it for the money, not for the science. Back to the show that we had a few weeks ago, science versus religion, and now it's all up on science's face because science has become a religion where people just take it on blind faith. These ladies in San Antonio and Austin are awesome because they refuse to take things on blind faith. I hope that they're even critically thinking the information that supports their side, because there is a lot of pseudoscience out there designed specifically to discredit the anti-GMO movement. Now, when you take good information, research it yourself, and are supported by other people who have also doing their own research, you communicate with each other, and that makes a good, solid argument. Where somebody like Mr. Satellite Phone over here can't just say, well, where is your evidence? Where is your proof? The whole idea in a grassroots movement, and the other gentleman, the guest speaker was awesome, because and those two ladies, I wish were good at remembering names, right? But I remember San Antonio and Austin. Okay. They're awesome because part of the revolutionary peaceful movement party that I am trying to start up is grassroots, starting from your own city hall, making city ordinances. We don't have to have a national agenda to order that products be labeled GMO or non-GMO on a national level. We can do that at a city level. Your city council can pass a city ordinance that requires all labeling of GMO products in all grocery stores being within the city limits. Bam, that's it. Grassroots movement. And then you move on to the county, and then you move on to the district, and then you move on to the state. And then we topple the whole top down. We cannot knock down that king of the hill. You know, that only worked in when you were kids, if the people listening even know what King of the Hill is. You cannot topple the king. He is too supported. You need to shake the ground under him. And we are the ground. Okay? But we all have to keep communicating. There's so many systems. There are so many people out there trying to accomplish so much, but because we don't communicate with each other, we are all feeling like we're being defeated. Okay? Communication is a topic for tonight. And I want to point out that the opinions expressed by Jose, that's me, are my opinions based on my research, my observations, my client interactions, and are hardly to be blamed on the producers, sponsors, or any others affiliated with this program. But like Vincent said, if you have any hate mail, send it to him, because I do invite your input, but keep your criticisms to yourself. I don't operate that way, huh? Okay. Tonight's topic is communication. And if you'll remember back in December 19th of 2013, the show we had back there, being a part versus being a part of a relationship, during which we discussed that the universally accepted elements of any relationship are trust, honesty, and communication. You may also remember that I said two of those, trust and honesty, are negligible, right? You can have a relationship without trust and without honesty. It may be a very low quality relationship as far as relationships go, but you can still maintain one. But communication is the element without which any relationship pretty much simply fails to exist. You gotta have communication. Okay, I think everybody will agree with that. You have to have communication for any kind of relationship. You have a dog in the house and you want the dog to come to you, you have to whistle to that dog, or you have to, do the kissing noise for that dog. They love that. Or you call the dog by name. Now, I ask folks in these workshops that I perform, right? The relationship enhancement workshop that I perform for the Together in Texas program. I ask them, what is the most important part of communication? And of course, I get different answers. There's only two possible answers. Of course, I've had people come up with a third answer, which was just kind of reaching out there. But anyway, I come up with different answers until people actually think about it, And that is the most important part of that area of my workshop, or the topic of the workshop, that people start thinking. This is why I perform these relationship enhancement workshops. Okay, most people consider themselves, and I know there's a lot of you out there in the chat room and people that are listening that have yet to log into chat, as I was earlier. Most people consider themselves great communicators because of their ability to articulate, enunciate, and their ability to express themselves. However, if a tree falls in the forest without anyone to hear it fall, does it make a noise? All right, the rhetorical question, you guys. I'm having a little bit of computer trouble. Remember that it's the April, what is it? What's today? April 3rd. 15 more days before Microsoft ends its support for Windows XP, which I happen to have, and things are starting to already go kind of haywire on my computer. I found out in the last couple of days. But anyway, so if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a noise? What is the purpose of such an excellent articulation? What is the purpose of such awesome enunciation? And what is the purpose of a marvelous self-expression unless there is somebody there to listen? So because of this, my opinion, now I can say that my opinion is a personal opinion, but because I'm in the business, I can say it's my professional opinion as well. in my professional opinion, the most important part of communication is listening. Especially because there are different forms of speaking. Now, when we speak, when we say the word communication, it's that old two-way street, right? It takes two to communicate or more. You know, the biggest pet peeve that I have are the people that are kind of it's kind of hard to explain, but people that are sticklers to detail, hair splitters when it comes to the sense of communication. We've all dealt with these kind of people, and we've even done it ourselves. If you're over the age of 25, I'm sure at one point somebody asked you, well, do you or don't you? And your answer was, well, I said yes, didn't I? Or something to that effect, right? Our words are saying one thing, but our body language, and by the way, body language, when I say body language, I also include, tone and other parts, other aspects of the body that are seldom considered body language, right? Like rolling of your eyes. That's body language, even though it's just your eyes. I told a lady one time in a workshop, hey, watch your body language. And she literally stood there with her arms crossed and said, my body is perfectly still. I have no body language right now, while she was rolling her eyes. And I was like, you're rolling of your eyes. Your eyes are a part of your body. It's part of your communication. You're getting your message across very effectively. Okay? And this particular lady was wonderful. I've used her in my work as an example in my workshops ever since then, for like the last 3 years, right? Because I was able to use her in the following workshops, because it was her ability to say, honestly, my body is perfectly still. I have no body language. But that alone is indicative of somebody who is resistant to communication or being hostile. And, without getting too much into that whole, when, people are hostile, they can be passively hostile or passively aggressive or actively aggressive or downright violent. We don't want to get, too far into that, because we want to discuss communication. But this is an example of somebody who was hostile and being very passively aggressive. But, passively aggressive is, in a relationship, it's tantamount to a slap in the face. Especially when you're being kind of elusive. Okay, now, unfortunately, the topic of the previous hour was so interesting that I actually sat down. I hooked up my headphones and everything, and I have to go to the back of the computer and unplug my speakers and plug in this crazy headset that I confiscated from my son, and I heard the topic and I was like, whoa, this is cool. Usually I listen to the show on my speakers while I'm, preparing for this show, but this time, I was bound to my headphones. So I could only move out 6 feet beyond the computer because I wanted to hear everything that was going on. So I was unable to prepare or to gather up all the documentation that I have for this show, but I'm going to wing it with my memory. And I think I've got it, pretty down pat, because this is stuff that I've, been doing in, relationship enhancement workshops for the last 5 or 6 years. I forget the numbers that I quote. I forget what year I started. But anyway, as far as communication, of course, there is listening and then there is, speaking. And as far as speaking is concerned, there's some basic rules in effective speaking when it comes to dealing with, in a relationship. And mind you, when I say relationship, I know I say this over and over again, but I'm assuming that we get new listeners on occasion, and they're like, what is he talking about? What's a relationship? You know, or everybody thinks a relationship is just a romantic relationship or a sexual relationship or whatever the case might be. But you have a relationship with your son, you have a relationship with your daughter, with your dog, you have a relationship with your next door neighbor, you know, with your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your cousin. You have a relationship with your grandfather, you have a relationship with your boss, with customers. If you deal with customers, you have a relationship with a cop if you get pulled over, or you just, you know, having a relationship with somebody that you're chit-chatting at while you're waiting to pay for something at the register line, right? Now, when you are communicating with someone with whom you have a relationship, and remember, communication is very important. It is the most important trait in a relationship, whatever that relationship may be. When you speak, basically, you say what you want, you be specific, you stay on topic, and you avoid questions. You avoid asking questions. Now, that last one, when I give a workshop, people are like, what? What do you mean? Communication is all about asking questions, make things clear. And I'm like, good. I'm glad people pick up on that, because I say it like this on purpose, because the questions that I refer to when you avoid asking questions when you are speaking is those rhetorical questions, like I just gave an example of a while ago, where you asked, you know, let's say you ask somebody to throw the trash out, and they said, sure, I'll throw the trash out. And you're like, okay. So you come by an hour later and the trash is still there, and you ask that person, did you throw the trash out? And the person says, instead of answering yes or no, the person answers you with a rhetorical question, which is something like, did you see me get up and throw the trash? You know, those kind of questions are funny when you watch them in a situation comedy on television, if there's even situation comedies on television anymore, because I know it's been ended. Television was already crap, and then when it went to doing reality shows, I think it went to compost crap. Thank you, clock. You know, but those rhetorical questions are great to laugh at when you watch them or watch somebody else do it. But when you are half of that conversation and you get thrown a rhetorical question that has a little English to it, right? Has a little twist to it. Basically, that rhetorical question is designed not to be answered, but rather to make you feel stupid, right? Which is a totally different topic, because nobody can really make you feel stupid. But let's stick to the communication thing, right? Okay, I said when you're speaking, you say what you want, you be specific, stay on topic, and avoid those rhetorical questions. Now let's go back to the item 1 there. Say what you want. Of course, this topic is much easier to cover when I have actual people sitting in front of me in a workshop, and I can say, "Hey, you, what do you want?" You know, and you know, I'll ask a guy, and usually the guy will say, "I want a motorcycle," right? And I'm like, "Okay, you want a motorcycle? I'll give you one." You know, and then I'll reach in my bag and pull out a little toy motorcycle, right? And everybody will laugh. And then you know, because I have this on a poster board behind me, I refuse to do a PowerPoint presentation because people go to sleep during the PowerPoints. But anyway, you know, everybody laughs, and I say, you know, look back on the board and tell me what you failed to do, how you failed to communicate with me. And he says, okay, say what you want, be specific. And then he'll come up and he'll say again, you know, well, you know, I want a you know, 2013, you know, Kawasaki blah 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 motorcycle, and he'll go into detail with the chrome and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, good, that's better, that's more specific. See, now whenever you say what you want, be specific, stay on topic, it increases your chances of getting what you want. Of course, this guy has to go somewhere else to get that motorcycle because, I do the workshops for free. How am I going to afford to pay for a motorcycle, right? But when we get more down to earth in a relationship wise, let's go back to the trash can, right? When you tell someone, hey, would you throw the trash for me? They basically have, and they say yes, sure, I'll throw the trash for you. They basically have until the day they die before you can reclaim to them that they promised you something and failed to deliver. Literally until the day they die. On their deathbed, you'll be like, babe, are you okay? And he's like, no, I'm dying. And then you say, oh, are you sure you're dying? Yes, I'm dying. I know for sure I'm dying. The doctor told me I only have like 13 minutes to live. And you say, okay, only 13 minutes to live. Then listen to me because this is important. You suck. You told me you were going to throw the trash, and the trash is still there. You suck. I don't want you anymore. Okay? That's how long that person has before you can claim that they failed you. Now, because you're specific. Now, you can say, well, I want you to throw the trash in the next 15 minutes. Now, you can go on and explain why you want the trash thrown in the next 15 minutes, but for the purposes of communication, all you have to do is say what you want and be specific. I want you to throw the trash in the next 15 minutes. Will you do that for me? Yes, I will, honey. You know I'll throw the trash in the next 15 minutes. I'm sure there's going to be a commercial on this organized sports event that I happen to be watching on this indoctrination box that we have inside our living room or bedroom, wherever you keep your television. And so you walk away with confidence knowing that this person is going to throw that trash within 15 minutes. Now, let's go fast forward 16 minutes into time, and you walk by the trash and the trash is still there, and you say, babe, did you throw the trash? And let's say, babe is, completely respectful, just really forgot, and says, oh, honey, I forgot that you asked me to throw the trash, right? So, what's your next word? What's your next line to that, to your relationship person there, your other half there? What's your next line? Do you say, you always forget to throw the trash when you promise me? Okay. This is, I wish I had some sound effects because this is where I do the screeching halt breaks. I know it sounds weirder on the, over the microphone than it does over the speakers than it does in real life when I, do the body language to show like I pressed on the brakes. Anyway, screeching halt. We come to the screeching halt. Okay, say what you want. Be specific. You said what you want. You were specific. Third requirement is stay on topic. When you tell that person, you always forget when you promised me to throw the trash. What are we talking about? Are we talking about, did you throw the trash? Or are we talking about, you always forget? This is how we get out of topic, or this is how we get off topic. This is why these 4 rules, or this guideline for speaking, is very important. Say what you want. Be specific. Stay on topic. And avoid those rhetorical questions that just sort of give people permission to ignore you because you're just trying to be hurtful. Okay? Now, I will point out one thing, though. When I'm doing relationship enhancement workshops and I say what you want, I get a lot of men that say, yeah! Do you guys know what that's all about? Do we have any men in the listening audience out there? Okay. Men are very good at saying what we want. We may hem and haw, but eventually we're going to come right out and say what we want, right? Women tend to hint at what they want. And, depending on whether you are an advocate of creationism or an advocate of evolution or an advocate of some other kind of weird scientific theory as to the origins of humanity. Where did human life come from? At the very least, humans are 8,000 years old, okay? It's been 8,000 years, ladies. We come 8,000 years into this society, and you guys have yet to figure out that most men are very bad at picking up hints, right? Right? We're going to discuss that a little more later. I think I'm doing all right on time. Okay. So when I go to the workshop and I say, you know, the guidelines for speaking is say what you want. Men are like, yeah, just tell them, say what you want. Women, what do you want? Don't say, oh, I want a man that can read my mind and give me what I want before I ask for it. Well, good luck with that, you know, because, you know, guys, we're doing all we can just to not be the most disgusting creature you've ever met. Okay? Because most guys are okay being disgusting around each other. But you know, when the woman comes around, oh shucks, you know, we have to clean up our act a little bit, you know, no more flicking boogers at each other or none of that kind of stuff. By the way, I find that stuff disgusting too. You know, but I'm I think a little bit different. Yeah, can't read our minds. Anyway, that's one of the keep that in mind. Remember, this is kind of a circular topic, you know, communication. It's hard for me to. I wish I could just, you know, put my hand on the computer monitor and mind meld with everyone out there and put the knowledge that I have found into your brains and to your heart, so that you can understand. But you're gonna have to listen to the whole thing so that this first part can make sense to you. Because I know I lose a lot of women when men say, "Yeah, just say what you want." You know, right off the bat, I can see the women shutting down. They're like, "Oh, it's gonna be one of those classes. We'll forget it." Anyway, the second part of communication. Okay, that does it for listening. The second part of communication, the most important part, right, is listening. Now, when you listen, you leave room for the speaker, right? You listen quietly. Well, you know, I'm certified through the Family Wellness Associates out of California. I happen to disagree with that one. They say listen quietly. I say it's okay to listen attentively, because sometimes, you know, we want to give verbal feedback or audible feedback so that to motivate the speaker to keep on talking, right? You match the energy and you oh dear, what's the other one? Match the energy and I'll get back to the other one. Okay. There's actually four. Okay. The first one is you leave room for them. You know, we do like to participate in a conversation, right? When we're communicating. But you know, if somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I almost got into an accident," and you interrupt them real quick. You're like, "You almost got an accident? What happened?" You know, that's kind of crowding the person. And not only is it crowding the person, but if you say it too enthusiastically, you kind of scare people, right? You know, like, "Hey, I don't want to talk to this guy. He gets all bent out of shape over nothing," you know. So when you're listening, it is important that the person speaking understands that you are listening. I have this very bad habit, personally. Here's confession time for me, right? Most of you guys that know me know that I stopped watching television in about 1996. I stopped watching television. And people are like, "Yeah, I hate television too." And I say, actually, the reason I stopped watching television is because I love television. It is impossible for me to maintain a conversation with anyone in a room if there is a television on in that room. And they could be showing the worst crap ever, and I'll still, "Hey, Ghost of Jimmy," is that who you are? Ghost of Jimmy? Stay out, get off this topic. You're taking my thunder. We're going to discuss that later. Anyway, unless you're driving, we're going to discuss it later. Delete that. Anyway, so as I was saying, What was I saying? Oh yeah, if there's a television in the room and it's on, they could be showing crap. The worst crap that I ever would even want to watch, and I'll still be mesmerized by that television while I'm trying to maintain a conversation with somebody in the room. Anyway, that's a true confession with me. Now, if somebody's talking to me and there's a television in the room and my eyes are on the television, am I really listening attentively? Right? Thank you, Ghost. Anyway, am I listening attentively? The word, of course, is I need to turn on that television so I can pay attention to this person. I need to listen attentively, and I need to leave room for them. And if I'm watching television, not only am I failing to listen attentively, but I'm also not giving them the room they need to speak. Although I am not speaking to them, I am ignoring them. So why even bother speaking, right? If a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to hear it, if a tree falls in the forest without any witnesses, does it make a noise? Oh, you could keep on talking. Talk about baseball or something, Ghost. Anyway, you listen attentive. Now, when you listen attentively, like I said, this is where I disagree with Family Wellness Associates out of California, because they say listen quietly. I say listen attentively. So if somebody says, I just had the worst day at work, okay, I could sit down and be quiet and just, look at them and wait for more information. Or I can say, oh, no, you had a bad day? And then the other person will say, this guy wants to hear about my day, right? And then the person will say, yeah, the boss locked his keys in his car, and blamed it on me. Now I have to make a choice right here after that statement. I can just keep on looking at him and nodding, or saying, or say something like, oh no, blamed it on you, or, what the hell was that all about? You have to listen attentively. Now, and then you match the energy. When someone comes in and says, I had the worst day at work today, do you think that person wants to hear you say, oh yeah, well I had a great day. Life is great for me. Hell no. That person wants you to acknowledge. That person wants you to acknowledge that they had a bad day. You had a bad day? Oh, I'm so sorry you had a bad day. Tell me, what happened today that made your day so bad? Now, guys, listen to this next part, okay? This is an important part. Okay, I've got, about 22 minutes to go, okay? Let's say your spouse says, the boss locked the keys in his car and blamed me. This is where guys will say, you know what? Screw that boss at that job. Just quit already. Now, is she asking you, or is your spouse, because it could be a guy, who knows? Far be it for me to judge anybody. Is your spouse asking you, Mr. Man, to solve her problem? All she's asking for is acknowledgement. And, okay, ladies, everyone, mute your computers. I want to speak to only the guys here. Guys, we suck. We suck at listening because we don't hear. We suck because we think every problem presented to us requires a solution. And when it comes to a relationship, all that is required is acknowledgement of that relationship. Someone tells me, my car won't start. Man's quick response is, do you have gas? Yes, I have gas. My car won't start. Have you checked the battery? You know what? Shut the hell up and let this person say what's wrong with him. And you say, car won't start. Man, car problems suck. But, what's going on? Do you need any help? Do you want to help? Usually people are just like, no, man, I got help coming, but thanks for listening, right? Okay. Leave room for them. Listen attentively. Match the energy. Okay. Oh, I kind of deviated on match the energy. If the person is sad, join them. Most guys, and some women too, by the way, when they see someone that's sad, the first thing we say is, "Oh, don't be sad. Everything's going to be okay." Well, it's okay to say everything's going to be okay, but stop telling people to stop being sad. Let them be sad. Tell them, "Oh, you're sad. Oh, that breaks my heart that you're sad." That's it. Just acknowledge that they're sad. That goes so much further than trying to make them unsad, okay? You match the energy. If they're sad, you're sad. If someone walks in and says, "I won the lottery," they want you to say, "All right, you won the lottery." Match that energy, okay? And then you repeat what you hear. This is very important, ladies. Okay, now guys, mute your microphone. And ladies, listen up. Repeat what you hear. I say this, we practice this in my workshops. It becomes a little exercise that we do, you know, and there's a difference between repeating what you hear and repeating what the person said. And I like to use the example of, you know, I'll walk up to one of the ladies in my workshop and I'll say, "Hey, nice shirt." And I'll ask the lady to repeat what she heard me say. Now, if she says, "You said, hey, nice shirt," I say, "Wait a minute. You repeated what I said. I want you to repeat what you heard." So if I go up to you and said, "Hey, nice shirt," what does that mean to you? If I'm communicating effectively, what it means to you is that I like your shirt, right? Why is it important for you to repeat what you hear as opposed to repeat what was said? Because I can walk up to you, the same person, and say, "Hey, nice shirt," right? Am I conveying the same message? Do I really like that shirt? Right? Because I can say, "Hey, nice shirt," or I can say, "Hey, nice shirt," right? In case it's not in case I'm failing to communicate this over the airwaves, the second way I said it, I'm trying to be sarcastic or sardonic, depending on your way of thinking, right? And so when I say, "Hey, nice shirt," and you repeat what you hear, you say, "You like my shirt?" I'll say yes. And if I come to you and say, "Hey, nice shirt," and you repeat what you hear, you'll say, "You don't like my shirt?" And I'll say, "Is that a shirt, or did you just like throw an oil rag on yourself?" You know, of course, that's a rhetorical question, and I would never, you know, give you one of those rhetorical questions unless I was trying to be funny or funny to somebody else. You know, but if you say enough rhetorical questions to one person, you might end up getting stabbed in the eye with a soldering iron. Yeah, I wish Vincent was on the microphone right now because he does that.
Hey, you're talking to my guy. What's going here?
There you go. Anyway, right on cue. Okay. Anyway, so when you're listening, you leave room for the person speaking. You listen attentively as opposed to quietly, although if you have trouble listening attentively, then quietly will do, right? You match the energy. If that person is sad, you come down and be sad. If that person is elated, you be elated. If that person is scared, you be scared. And then you repeat what you say, right? Those are the premises of communication. When you use these little rules to communicate for your listening and for your speaking, I guarantee that it's going to increase the chances of you getting what you want. Now, with about 15 minutes to go in my time, we're going to discuss some issues that get in the way of this communication. Now, the man and the woman are different sexually, of course, right? But there's a bigger difference that's more important, and that is in our brain. When a baby boy and a baby girl is born, we have to look at their genitalia in order to determine whether this is a boy or a girl, because everything else is exactly the same. But inside the brain, there's actually a difference. Okay, we've only found this out because, babies have died and have had autopsies, and they've discovered, hey, this is a girl, and her corpus callosum is thicker than the ones that are boys, and then in the brains of boys. Okay, the corpus callosum is that gray matter that's in between the two halves of the brain. Okay, we are very unsure about what function the corpus callosum serves. We suspect that it increases the ability of the right side of the brain to communicate with the left side of the brain. Now, that having been said, is a thicker one better or worse? Who knows, right? Now, when we know that there's a difference inside the brain, but how does that serve the men or the women when they grow up? Well, I'm going to back up a little bit more here. Throughout history, women, we all love women. Men love women. Women love women. Everybody loves women. Men, we could take them or leave them, right? But you know what a common trait of men is? That they're strong. So women have had a history, a terrible history. When a boy was born, all right, we're going to make this a boy. We're going to raise him up to be a man, and he's going to help. He's going to help hunting and provide food. He's going to help build shelters. He's going to help in the farm. If we're criminals, he's going to help rob, whatever the case might be. And then when a girl was born, a baby girl was born, it's like, oh, a woman? What's a woman good for? Another mouth to feed? She's not going to be any good for anything until she's, 14 or 15 years old. And even then, all she's really good for is to attract men. We're going to have to feed her for 14 or 15 years just so that before she can attract men. She's not strong. She can't do anything. So what? I know it's terrible, but this is how societies actually thought. And by the way, these are societies worldwide as far as we can tell. Now, what would happen to a lot of these girls that were newborn babies is it a boy? Did you give me a boy? No, I gave you a girl. Throw that girl in the woods. We don't want her. We already have enough girls, right? And this would happen. Infantilism is a worldwide phenomenon for every culture up to about, maybe 10 years ago, right? It's still happening in some cultures, right? But it was worldwide. And you can see this is part of the devaluation of women. It starts from birth. Okay, but I digress. Okay, so they throw this little baby girl into the woods, and they keep on going. They abandon her. And you know what? Some of those baby girls survived. Who knows how they survived? Maybe they were raised by wolves. That answers a lot of questions with a lot of the people that I know on Facebook. I'm just kidding. Okay. Some of them survived. They beat the elements. I'm sure some other, wayward woman picked up this baby after she had been exposed for 2 or 3 years. Anyway, this baby survived, grew up to be a woman, a strong, healthy woman, made babies, and her baby girls were strong too. We think that may be why women have a thicker corpus callosum, because it helps in the survival of the babies, because women, or baby girls, had to tolerate historically around the world the abuses of their own culture and nature. Maybe this is why women are called woe man, right? Who knows? I wasn't there when they came up with the word. But anyway, this difference in the corpus callosum helps women communicate left brain to right brain. This is why it's very difficult for women, especially in our society, to think linearly, right? Women think globally or circularly. Women hear my words in my workshops and understand, and guys, I have to keep referring them back to something that I said so they can make that connection. Because guys believe the workshop should begin, have a middle, and end. Whereas women can say, oh, that's why we have to match the energy. Right? Now, that having been said, okay, I got about 8 minutes to go. That having been said, I'm going to tell you this quick story about a research, about a study that was done when I was in college. And when I say when I was in college, it was just about 10 years ago. Uh-oh, am I still on? Something went crazy on my computer. Okay, I'm going to keep on talking.
You're good.
Okay, good. I had a professor, an old Oma. Do you know what an Oma is? That's a German word for grandma. An old, short, fat, white woman that looked like she was a poster child for the grandmothers of Germany, right? Now, she was about 70 years old. She had spent her entire life being a marriage and family therapist and taught college at the Texas A&M University in Corpus Christi. She was married to a white man that probably looked as German as she did. And he was in his 70s, and he spent his whole life being a marriage and family therapist and taught college at Texas A&M University in Kingsville. These are cities in South Texas, by the way, close to Alice, Texas, the hub of South Texas. Okay, now, they had been professionals in the marriage and family trade. She was my professor. She walks in and she says, oh, I have this brand new DVD that we're going to watch. Somebody told me it's good for my class. I haven't watched it, so we're all going to be watching it for the first time. She popped it in, and we saw this study done. I know the name of the study, but it slips my mind right now because I admit I have a bad memory. I am not cuckoo. I just have a bad memory. Anyway, so she put it in.
I think you are cuckoo. Your clock's telling on you.
That's a matter of opinion, and right now mine's the only one that counts. Anyway, so she put the video in, and there was a study at some university up in Gringolandia, right up there where it gets cold and stays cold for 10 months out of the year. And they did a study on communication skills between boys and girls. They got 2-year-old boys, I think they got 3-year-old boys all the way up to 17, and 3-year-old girls all the way up to 17 too. Now, the tester walked in, the adult walked in with 2 3-year-old boys, sat them down in chairs and says, oh, you guys talk to each other, I'll be right back, and left. There's a camera train on these 2 boys, and the 2 boys sat there in the seats side by side and started talking to each other, and they kind of fidgeted, like they would say something and kind of give a quick look to the kid next to him and continue talking. And the other one would answer, kind of fidgety, kind of nervous, occasionally, checking his target and answer the question. Absolutely no eye contact whatsoever. They did the same thing all the way up to age 17. All boys communicated the same way. The 17-year-olds both slouched on the chairs, stretched their legs out and say, hey, you play baseball? And the other one said, yeah, I play catcher. And this one said, yeah, I'm a pitcher. But they would never look at each other. They would look forward or glance around the room, occasionally checking their target, which means the person they're speaking to, right? Then they brought the girls in. The 3-year-old girls, they brought them in. Talk amongst yourselves, I'll be right back. And the 2 girls turned towards each other and started asking each other questions and making eye contact and looking at each other. By the time they brought the 8 and 9-year-old girls, the girls turned the chairs to face each other so they could sit square in a chair and make eye contact. Do you see the differences here? Men avoid eye contact, whereas women insist on it. To women, making eye contact or communicating without eye contact is hardly communication whatsoever. Now, why is this? Because when children are born, they're exactly the same way. It has to be the conditioning in our society. Our boys are conditioned to avoid eye contact. Our girls are conditioned to look at me because the eyes are the windows to the soul, or whatever the case might be. Okay? What's more, when this DVD finished playing, my professor slapped her forehead and said, "Oh my goodness!" Now remember, she's in her 70s. All her life she and her husband have been marriage and family therapists, and they teach at universities on the side. Right? They have their own business, and she slaps her forehead and she says, "Oh my goodness! After watching this video, I just realized why the best conversations my husband and I have are," and where it goes, she says, "when we take long road trips and he drives." Because she gets to turn on her seat and face him, but because he's driving, he has permission to avoid eye contact with her. He's got to keep his eyes on the road, and on occasion, he will check his target. He's right within his element as a male. And remember, these are two marriage and family therapists, right? And they failed to make that connection until she watched this video and said, "Wow, this is what's happening." Okay, guys, why do we avoid eye contact? Real quick. We can figure out the negative by using addition instead, right? Why do we avoid contact? When do men make eye contact? Or boys? We learn it at the playground, or we learn it at home, right? Chances are most guys out there, we're told by their father, "Look at me when I'm talking to you, boy." So we make eye contact because we're getting chewed out. Or we make eye contact in the playground when a boy says, "Hey, what are you staring at? What are you looking at? You want a piece of me? You want some of this? What's the matter with you? You want some trouble? You want me to beat you up? Come on, come here. What are you looking at?" Because we make eye contact when we're getting chewed out or when we're about to get in a fight. So now just imagine you're sitting in a room with your male partner, and you tell him, "Honey, we need to talk. I want you to look at me." If your male partner is going to practice the guidelines for a good listener, remember, he's going to listen attentively. He's going to he's going to leave room for you, the speaker. He's going to listen attentively. He's going to match the energy, and he's going to repeat what he says.
What did you say?
And when he repeats what he heard, rather, he's going to repeat what he heard. And when you say to him, "Honey, we need to talk. I want you to look at me," what he hears is, "We're going to fight."
Yeah. Thanks, Jose. We're up against the end.
I have been Jose. Thanks for having me again.
Hey, thanks, Jose. I love having you, bro. Really appreciate it. Hey, stay tuned for Double Cross Radio coming up right now here in just a couple minutes. Are you aware that CIA was aware of insider training prior to 9/11 and more? Sorry about the stutter there. And also, I'd like to give a big thank you to Jimmy Funky Boiler Room Radio right here on UCY.TV on Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday. Yeah. Hey, we're out. Love and peace, y'all. Check out Jaja. Radioactive.
USA is crumbling. Y'all sick, fat, dumb and shit. The mass invasion, the home invasions. The CPS is coming to snatch your babies. These confiscations, the conversations. They're operating within the zones we trade in. We're in the matrix, now we're totally raided. They infiltrated, finally the devil gave in. If you can't hear me, then pump up the volume. McDonald's, Bin Laden, Osama, Obama. Bring up something real, legalize marijuana. Everything on a bong hit is as blunt as Madonna. Radioactive, intergalactic, counterattacking.